Supernatural, The Man in the High Castle, anything Lost, all kinds of stuff. You know who he is. DJ Qualls.
Thank you. I was in all those things. So first of all, thanks for coming to my panel, guys. It's my first time in Amarillo. I flew in yesterday a little bit tired from New York City. Tonight I'm going to go out and see what you have to offer. I may be a little worse for wear tomorrow. Okay, so this is something that I use to encourage engagement, so I'm not just sitting up here for 45 minutes by myself. I run my panel like a game show. I actually call it the world's shittiest game show, but I'll change it to crappiest game show because I'm in Texas. So what I do is I look through my bag, which I never throw anything away, and find something really crappy. Pre-pandemic, it used to be like a handful of vitamin C's or like whatever, but now I can't do that. So let's see what I have here. Oh, there's a glowworm. No, stuck to a toothbrush. You don't want that. Oh, wait. I was just in Athens. This is a little evil eye pouch. So I'll give this away to somebody. It's worth like $1. It really is terrible. So here's how the game works. So I'm going to pick a number between 1 and 125. And, oh, look, or you can have a Rubik's Cube, which I have for some reason. I don't know why I have that either. So I'm going to pick a number between 1 and 125. Every time you ask me a question or say something that's on your mind, and literally, this is your golden opportunity. You can ask me anything, and pretty much within reason. I really can't think of anything I wouldn't answer. I'll answer it. And so every time you do that, you take a guess at the number, and whoever's closest will win this one of these two crappy prizes, or maybe both of them. I really don't care. Okay, so the number between 1 and 125 is, there's one in every room. Somebody says 69, and it will not be 69. Let's see. Oh, I got it. Okay. So does anybody want to play the world's crappiest game show? All right, so you have the mic, but you'll have to be here the whole time. Are you going to stay here the whole time? You have things to do.
Or they can just pass the mic back to the next person in line.
This is why you're the president of this con. This is why, and why I'm in charge of nothing.
And I'm out here now, too. Gotcha.
Okay, so we have our number.
You don't have to pass it back. You can just walk up to one of us.
I saw hands. Okay, right here. First contestant. Hi. Welcome to the world's crappiest game show. I'm your host, DJ Qualls. What is on your mind, or what would you like to ask me?
I was just wondering, whenever you were on Supernatural, were Jensen and Jared, did they do a lot of like goofing off with you and?
Yeah, so the boys are famous for pranks on Supernatural, and so to get into, so this is also how the game show works. You will ask me a question, I will forget your question, I'll tell you a story about something completely unrelated, and then make you guess anyway. So I got offered this show right after I'd done a movie called All About Steve with Sandra Bullock, and I was so tired. And I just gotten back to my house in California, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to go to Vancouver in 3 days?" And I said, "Absolutely not. I do not want to do it." And so they sent me. I was like, I don't even know what Supernatural is. I wasn't aware of the show. I casually knew Jared Padalecki, who plays Sam on the show, like from going out when we were like young and wild in Hollywood, and so I was like, send me a couple episodes. So they sent me a couple episodes, and I saw what they look like, and I was like, I will not just be not as good looking as the two leads of a show, but staggeringly so. I was like, there's no way I want to be on camera opposite these two people. And then Jared called me and asked me to do it. They wrote Garth for me. The writers wrote them with me in mind. So I went and did this and did the episode and fell in love with it. I went up meeting my best friend who plays Benny the Vampire. His name is Ty Olson. He's the best and worst things that have ever happened to me. We've done some things. But he's the most important person in my life, and I got it through the show. Oh, pranks. I did remember. Oh yeah. So I've had my trailer filled with fart spray, I hate mayonnaise more than anything in the whole world, and they put mayonnaise. I had werewolf claws on one day, and I could barely just, you know, women who have like the nails that long typing on a cell phone. I don't know how they do that. So I had these claws glued on like to there, and I opened my trailer door, and they had put mayonnaise in the handle, and I was sitting there going, like I hate it, like I phobic hate it. As a matter of fact, I'm starting a new HBO show on Monday, and the character has to eat a tuna fish sandwich in it. And I was like, if that is a requirement, I will be turning down this HBO show. What's your name and your guess at the number?
Angela, and my guess is 76.
76? Thank you, Angela. Thank you for playing the world's crappiest game show. Hi.
I'm gonna just pass the mic to my friend here. She's more of a fan for you.
Okay.
But plus, I never even watched any of your shows or anything. So I don't know.
Mom, is that you?
Alright.
Okay, so when you were playing Garth in Supernatural, what was your favorite episode to do?
Party on Garth was my favorite episode. Because if you pretend to be drunk, you feel drunk. And so I felt, and it's totally against Screen Actors Guild laws to be drunk on set. Like it's a major fine, like $100,000 fine. But then you have people like Charlie Sheen who get away with it. But it was so fun, and also it was so. I loved Garth because he got to break up the sort of drama of the show. Like Monster of the Week was just a really fun thing to be involved in. And also they talked me into doing the stunt because the stunt guy that they hired looked nothing like me, and so I get to be pulled on a harness through that plate glass window. It was made of sugar glass. But it was very fun. I love doing all that kind of like rough stuff, and I get to do a lot of it because I really am nobody kind of looks like me. So that's my favorite episode by far. What's your name and your guess?
Kinsey and 96.
96? Okay. Oh, speaking of that episode though, and drinking on set and pranks, Jared took me to lunch during the filming of that episode and talked me into doing 2 tequila shots at lunch. And I was like, well, if he's doing it, I can do it. And he was done for the day. So he took me back a little loaded to work where I had to pretend to be drunk. So that day I did not have to pretend that much. Yeah, and exactly. Thank you for the support. Okay, thank you.
What's your favorite film you ever been in?
My favorite movie, so I get asked when people come to my table, like I have all those 8x10s out there, and people ask me a lot, like what my favorite thing I've ever done. It's very hard to answer because I don't watch most of this stuff because like watching yourself is horrifying. Who wants to see themselves do anything? And so, but there's a movie I did called Lone Star State of Mind. It takes place in Texas. It's about some idiots that rob a convenience store. And I'm playing my cousin, who's the dumbest person I've ever met. And he's so dumb, he didn't know I was playing him. It's the most fun I've ever had. It was me and Joshua Jackson and Jamie King. And it was just, we laughed every day. Laughed so much that the president of Sony Screen Gems, the studio, called and threatened to fire all of us. Well, we knew he couldn't fire us. But it was just fun. It was just fun playing. I am from a very small town in Tennessee, and to poke fun at other rednecks was just it's like such a dream come true. What's your name and your guess?
Aaliyah and 46.
Okay, Aaliyah, 46. That's a good guess. I can't tell you if you won or not, because that wrecked the whole game, but that's a good guess. All right. Okay. Hi.
Hi. Who's
the beach now? Is that where you're gonna go with that?
I'm like turning really red now. This is awful. That would be me. I would be the beach. Okay, so who is your favorite person that you've worked with?
God, I've gotten to work with so many good people. I'll tell you the craziest person I ever worked with first. I worked with Tim Allen once. in a movie, and see, here's the thing. That's the thing about my panels. I say anything. The first time I was ever on the Tonight Show, I did it for a road trip, and Breckin Meyer, the little guy, was mean to me. He has Napoleon complex, but years later, I met him at a gas station, and he apologized to me. Jay was like, "So, what's it like to be in the movies?" I'm like, "Breckin Meyer is mean," and you sort of can't do that. But I realized when I first got to LA and started working like in film in Hollywood that I always have to do that. Like, if I walk around thinking I'm Brad Pitt and have this sort of veneer and facade, people are going to see through it, and that's also just not who I am. I am a real MF. And if you ask me a question, I'm going to tell you the honest answer. Although I really hate it when people say I'm brutally honest to be jerks, I'm never like that. I don't editorialize it. If you're awesome, I also say that. But if you're crazy, I say that. And if you're this tall and mean to people because they're taller than you, I'm going to tell that too. Speaking of that, me and Seth Green had a feud for like 10 years. He's Breckin Meyer's best friend because they're the same height. And do you know Seth Green? Anyway, so, oh my gosh, I hope people don't see this. But I can't stop. My panels are like truth serum for me. So he was always mean to me, and I met him at a party at San Diego Comic-Con. And he was like, "I don't know why we always had a beef with each other." And I'm like, "I don't know why we always had a beef either." And so we made up, and then I staggered over to him drunk at the end of the night and patted him on the top of the head and did this. And he hated me for 5 more years. But we recently made up, and it's all good. And I have no idea what you asked. And that's the way this works. What did you ask?
Oh, who's your favorite person that you've worked with?
Sandra Bullock.
Okay.
She was amazing. So I did this movie with her called All About Steve, and it's her worst movie and maybe mine. I mean, it just wasn't what it was supposed to be because Reese Witherspoon was supposed to play that character, but she backed out because of a scheduling issue. But it was Sandy. I call her Sandy because she tells me to, not because I think I'm cool. I don't call Robert De Niro Bobby. But Sandy's company owned the rights, and they were going to they paid a lot of money to have that script, and they were going to, hold on, people are texting me. And so she was like, "Well, I have to play it," and she was just the wrong person to do it. I thought she was good in it. The movie wasn't what we thought it would be. But here's how cool she is. I had this dog who was born with too much water on his brain. It was a Chihuahua who could only walk in a circle. He had hydrocephalus. He knew his name and and nothing else. They said he would live to be 2 years old. This dog pissed on my belongings for 10 years. I loved him. He was like having a giant hamster. He slept for 16 hours a day, but I couldn't leave him unattended in my dressing room because he would pee all over everything. So we were shooting in the desert, and her base camp is where our trailers are, like where makeup, catering, but where our dressing rooms are, and all the trucks park. And on a Sandra Bullock movie, it's like, they're like a mile long. And I was at the very end, and makeup was way over here, and we were shooting in the desert, pretending like it was winter in Oklahoma. So we're wearing long coats and all this other stuff. So I walk with George was the dog's name, all the way from my trailer to the makeup trailer, and his eyes are running, he's panting. She's like, "Where did you walk from, Los Angeles?" And we're like 80 miles outside the city. I'm like, "No, I'm at the end." The next day I showed up, and there was a John Deere bicycle with a basket around it and a basket on it with a giant bow that she bought for me so I could drive the dog around, my special needs dog. And she had a special needs dog too. She had a Chihuahua who was born without front legs. So our dogs saw each other and was like, "Special needs dogs?" And they were best friends. So she's the best. Tim Allen is nuts. Breckin Meyer was mean. But everybody else has been mostly lovely. And I'm always actually shocked when people are not nice. You know who was not nice? Chevy Chase was not nice to me. I was in Sundance with a movie that actually wound up winning Sundance, Hustle and Flow, right? This movie I did for nothing because I liked the script so much. And I had always loved him. National Lampoon's European Vacation is one of my favorite movies of all times. I've seen it 100 times. Every time I go to Europe, I watch it. And if you're on a trip in Europe with me and you don't watch it, you're punished for it. Like, I make you watch it. So I saw him across the street in Park City, and I was walking with my publicist, and he was with his publicist, and I was like, oh my God, there's Chevy Chase. I want to meet him so badly. And she was like, oh, I know her. He's dating his publicist right now, and she's one of my best friends. Come over. I go to meet him, and he wouldn't make eye contact with me, and gave me a limp handshake. But the universe is so on your side that almost like I planned it, the paparazzi popped out of bushes and were all over me in front of Chevy Chase. And they were like, Chevy, can you get out of the way? Like, literally. And I was like, thank you.
Winning.
And then a couple days later, I was at a gifting suite because those things are just an excuse to get free crap. And so and my manager was looking for me, and Chevy was on the porch, and they said, do you know where DJ Qualls is? And Chevy said, he's on the 3rd floor at North Face. So I was like, you better recognize Chevy Chase. But also, there's a big lesson in that. Like, even if you are not nice, pretend. You never know when you're going to need somebody, especially there was a PA in Road Trip whose job was, and Road Trip was my first movie and his first movie. Like, his job was to get you a Sprite if you asked for it. And now he runs Todd Phillips' company. Todd Phillips directed Road Trip, then he went on to direct the Hangover movies and The Joker. I went to his housewarming party at a $6 million house that he bought because anything you asked him to do was the most important thing he had ever been asked to do ever in his life. And that's what anything is like that. Anytime I accept a job, it's the most important thing I've ever done. If I'm having a hard day, I don't take it out on the people around me. And if I'm meeting somebody I don't really want to meet, I act like I do. It's called being nice. Did you ask any of that? Oh yeah, Sandra Bullock. What was your David, your guess?
Adrian and 55.
Adrian, 55. Gotcha, Adrian. Thank you for playing the world's crappiest game show. It gets worse from here, trust me.
Hello. All right.
Hello.
First of all, I'm loud. First of all, I just want to say that I'm a real
So this is
fan.
what it feels like to watch yourself in the movies. What you just did, that hello, whoa. I went to the premiere of Road Trip and watched 5 minutes of it and was like this, I gotta get out of here. Like hearing that sound, but all over the place, horrifying. It's absolutely horrifying.
So what I was going to ask you is if you could go back and either remake one of your movies as like a father figure now, would you want to do that at all?
I'm adamantly against remakes. Adamantly. Like, when I saw what they did to Overboard, have y'all ever seen the original Overboard? Yes. They messed that movie up. Arthur, you're gonna remake Arthur? It was terrible. I think it's wrecking childhoods is what it does. I don't want to wreck somebody's childhood. And also, I'm too old to play any of those characters anymore. Here's a story that's not at all connected to anything you just asked, but it's on my heart right now to tell you. So when you do movies, a lot of times they'll supply you with socks and underwear, especially if they play in the movie because they want to control, like, you know, how the socks and underwear look. Well, when we were doing Road Trip, there's something called Poor Man's Process, and it's a thing that they do. They'll put a circular clothing line up and hang different shaped clothes around it and a light in the middle, and then turn it, and it casts shadows down the side of a vehicle, so it makes it look like it's moving, right? And then grips, like lighting guys and electricians, will like shake it so it looks like it's moving. Well, we had one Poor Man's Process with the bus, and I was like, and they were hanging up different sides of clothes, and then they brought up this giant pair of underwear, like giant. And I was like, whose underwear are those? And they're like, do you ever see Cagney and Lacey? Those are Tyne Daly's underwear. And it traumatized me because I had this vision of the future of these tiny little underwear that somebody's hanging up on a circular clothing line. Which are those? Those are DJ Qualls' from Road Trip. So I take everything. Anything that's an undergarment, I take. I know you didn't ask that, but you deserved it. What's your name and your guess?
So my name is Jake.
Jake.
Number 4.
Number 4. What's the name of that restaurant that where you eat the steak? Everybody knows about it. Every single person has asked me if I wanted to go there. Just so you know and can spread the word, I grew up on a farm and had this pet cow named Flash. And so, I know, right? You know this is not going to end well. So my stepfather would give us the animals for birthday and Christmas presents, so we would get up and water and feed them, right? Because it's drag, you have to get up at the crack of dawn. And then when the animal ultimately had to go to the, you got a little bit of the money from the meat, or like you got some sort of little bonus. But me and Flash had this bond, and he had a lightning bolt before Harry Potter. He was the original lightning bolt, and he was cool and really tame. And I could call him, and he would come right to the fence, and he would let me ride around on him. Like I would lay on his back and put my head on his butt and my feet by his ears, and he would just walk me around, and he would do it for hours. Loved him, right? So one year I was like, I think he was getting big, and I was like, I want to buy Flash back. So that Christmas I'd asked for a gold chain because that's what everybody was doing when I was 12. And my stepdad got me a .22 caliber rifle, and I was like, have we met? That's not me at all. But he was like, take that rifle and in the spring start shooting chipmunks, and I'll give you $0.25 per chipmunk. So I got really good at shooting. So I would fill a little bucket of chipmunks up and you'd count them out, because chipmunks eat your stuff. You have to kill chipmunks. And then you'd count them out. The thing that a 10 and 11-year-old doesn't realize is that there's not enough chipmunks in the world to buy a cow. So I shot chipmunks for like a year and a half. I went away to Boy Scout camp and got home, and my mother's spaghetti is one of my favorite things in the world, and I was eating Flash unbeknownst to me. So I had my birthday at a steakhouse this year. I go to steakhouses. I just don't eat steak. But I'll eat a hamburger, but texturally it bothers me. I know what Oprah did with the whole thing in Texas, like sooner. I'm not trying to do that. I'm telling you, eat a steak. But I don't think I would like to go to some place and watch somebody eat, what is a 72-ounce steak? That's a lot of meat. So I'm not going to go there, just so you know. But any recommendations for dive bars? If your shoes stick to the floor, I want to be in that establishment tonight. So, what? R&R? Because 2 other places were recommended to me that were shut down. R&R? Where is it? Georgia? Not the state. There's a street called Georgia. I was going to say that's a little further than I'm willing to travel for a drink. But it's called R&R. Okay, so R&R, and give me one more recommendation.
Smoky Joe's.
I love this. Hold on, does this move? Okay, hold on. I'm going back here because you were so emphatic. This is actually what Oprah does. But nobody's getting a car. I know, right? What's the name of the bar? Zombies? Has anybody been to Zombies? Yeah. Is Zombies a good place? Yeah. Or is it a trap? Okay, so I got R&R, I got Zombies, name me one more. What is it?
Zombie burgers are great.
Okay, zombie burgers, so I got Zombie, R&R. What? Lit? Somebody told me that was closed down. Okay, so I got 3 places. I think it's gonna make a noise. So I got, is it called Lit? L-I-T? Lit, R&R, and Zombie. Okay, I'm gonna write that down, hold on. Okay, I'm down with that. Got it? So is R&R the best? Oh, it's haunted? I like a haunted bar. There was a murder there recently? Okay, because that is not good PR for a bar. Here's what he just said. Go to R&R, there was a murder there. Sir, you need to qualify that. You said it used to be a Pizza Hut? And the manager was murdered in the 70s? People really get mad around food. Okay. Did I take, who did I talk to last? And told all those things too, about Flash. Did I take your name and your guess? Are you Jake 4? I got you. Okay, thank you for playing the world's crappiest game show. All right.
I've got like a 2-parter question.
I love those.
What was your journey really like coming from a small town in Tennessee to climbing the ladder in Hollywood? And did you
Okay.
or Sean William Scott go home with the cheetah panties?
Okay, I'll answer the second one first because it's easiest. I steal everything that's not nailed down. I always take wardrobe. So there's 2 pairs of those cheetah panties. One is in the Hard Rock Hotel in Las Vegas, and I have the other pair in my nightstand with the puppet from Supernatural. So Mr. Fizzles and the leopard panties are in the same drawer. There's a story about that. If there weren't children here, I would tell it. But come to my table and I'll tell you the story about how my friend found my sock puppet in my nightstand. So how I got started is I was actually in law before I was an actor and I hated it. I was not the right person to do that. My father was a welder in a casket factory. Like my 2 industries in my town were pajamas and caskets, and pajamas closed. So the town sort of farmed out to that casket factory. Manchester, Tennessee is the #2 casket producer of the United States. And probably highest fast food per capita in the United States too. We're on the interstate between Nashville and Chattanooga. And I knew I couldn't do that. And so I moved to London to go to college. It was in a book of colleges, and they spoke English there, and I wanted to get out of my little town, and so I went. And I went with $400. I had $400 when I moved there. I moved into a youth hostel and just borrowed and worked wherever I could illegally, and then wound up getting into law. And you don't know that you don't want to do something like be a lawyer or a doctor until you're so deeply in debt that you have to do it. So I worked in a personal injury law firm, the kind that advertises on television and on bus benches, like Better Call Saul. And the irony is, I was in Saul's very first episode of Breaking Bad, sitting on a park bench with his face on it. And I just hated it to death and knew I couldn't do it. So I was doing a play in community theater, and a lady from Nashville who was a casting director came to see her mother who was in a nursing home. And she came to see my play one night, like in a church for free. And she was like, "You should be a professional actor." And just based on that, I never went back to work. Just that little bit of encouragement showed me how much I wanted to do it. Wow. And then I defaulted on my student loans, got my credit destroyed, and all of it was worth it. And so I went down to Atlanta, Georgia to audition for a one-line part because Road Trip was shooting down there, and they were like, "Hey, come down, we want a bunch of people to play one-line parts because it's cheaper to hire somebody on location than it is to fly them out from New York or LA." So I went into a high school gym with like 40 other dudes, and it was Todd Phillips' first movie, and he pointed to each of us, and the line was $250. So when I said my $250, I said, I can't even imagine what I did. I must have looked crazy because I was so excited to say $250. But then after like an hour of waiting, they came back and like, "So we're trying to cast this other part that we're having a hard time casting. Would you come back tomorrow and read for it?" So I was like, "Yeah." So I drove back to Nashville. I had a 92 Toyota Tercel with vinyl seats in it. It's late July. I'm coming back the next day, and the air condition breaks around Chattanooga, and I have like 2 hours ahead of me. So I get there drenched, red-faced, and panicked, and I was awful. I was terrible. I didn't hear from them for like 9 weeks. I was working at a Blockbuster. Like it was not a great thing. And then one day I got a call out of the blue from Ivan Reitman, who like directed Ghostbusters. He was the producer. And he was like, "We want to hire you for this job." They paid me $12,500 for 16 weeks of work. I thought I was rich, but everybody else got $300,000. And they tried to make me pay for my hotel room. And I was like, I can't afford 16 weeks in a hotel. And they were like, "Okay, fine, we'll do that. We don't ask for anything else." How smart they were. But it changed my life. And the movie came out on March 10th of whatever year makes me still be 38. And changed my life like literally the next day. Nothing was ever the same again. And I've only ever had this as a job since I did that. So I've been super lucky. But also I'm good at it. But I'm also good at pretending children do it. So like I'm not so up my own, whatever, to think. I mean, being an actor the hardest thing about being an actor is getting into a place of people thinking of you or calling you in to read for something. And that takes a lot of balls to like move somewhere and try to do something when you don't know. I didn't know anybody. And I still don't know a lot of people. Like people ask me all the time, "So my son wants to be an actor, how do you do that?" And I'm like, I have no idea. because everybody gets in a different way. And I'm really proud of like, and I like being an actor, but I don't love it in the same way that I used to because it's been a lot of years. And I just formed a production company and 2 years ago, and we just finished our first movie on Wednesday. So it's a huge deal for me personally and professionally. So I'm going in a different direction, but I'm in the movie too. Like I'm the star of the movie. So I don't know. At some point, my goal is to not have to be in them. I know you didn't ask any of this, but you're getting it anyway. What's your name and your guess?
Stetson.
Oh, that's right, Stetson. I remember you. Do you know my father used to wear that cologne? There used to be a Stetson cologne. Are you aware of this?
Oh, yes.
Okay. I forgot where I am. And what's your guess?
78.
78. Thank you, Stetson.
Hello.
Hi.
What is your most memorable moment from The New Guy?
Okay. So The New Guy, there's a stunt where I'm riding a bull, and Eliza Dushku's best friend, I think she works in this bar, which is weird because there's like a high schooler working in a bar, but come on. Her friend doesn't like me, and so she's trying to buck me off the bull. And the stunt was, I had a harness on underneath my clothes, and the harness was just supposed to pick me up, and then a stuntman was going to fly forward, and they were going to cut it together, right? The harness they put on me was an adult-size harness, and sadly, I wear a child-size harness. And so they put it on me, and they put it on underneath your jeans. Well, we did it several times, and it was fine, but one of the times, the harness was so slack, something slipped between slipped between the harness and my leg, and I got pulled up, and so I start screaming, and they're like, "You don't have to act, you're off camera," and I'm like, it's something I'll never forget for a bunch of reasons that are not great reasons. But I have so many memories from that. Colin Farrell and I went up moving in with each other during the making of the movie because they were shooting American Outlaws when we were shooting The New Guy, and we were all staying in the same hotel and at the Omni in downtown Austin. And he was like, "Do you know there's a three bedroom apartment of the whatever, you know?" Talks like the Lucky Charms guy. They do talk like Lucky Charms people, and they don't want to admit it. He was like, "There's a 3-bedroom like penthouse suite that's what your people are paying, what my people are paying. Let's move in with each other." So me and Colin Farrell moved in with each other for like 3 weeks, and it was a great time. I saw some things. I did some things. It was a fun time. So what's your name and your guess?
Warren and 101.
101. Thank you, Warren.
Hi.
Hi.
So one of my favorite parts of any movie or television show is the music.
Yeah.
And The New Guy had like funk music. It was awesome. I loved it. My question is, did you actually play guitar in that and sing, or did you have to learn anything for it?
So we had 6 weeks of band camp before we started that movie, and so we learned to play those instruments, but only those songs, right? We recorded the songs. We recorded the songs in Willie Nelson's personal studio because it was in Austin, and the hairstylist from there, Kelly Nelson, she was hairstylist on the show, was like, "Oh, you could just use my father-in-law's studio." I'm like, "Who's that?" She's like, "Willie Nelson, do you know him?" I'm like, "Yes." So me and Zoe Deschanel went in and we got to record all those songs. But I couldn't pick out a song on the bass to save my life now. But in the same way in Hustle and Flow, we learned all those songs. So we actually recorded them. But 3-6 Mafia wrote them. That's why they won the Oscar and we got like gold records. But we recorded all those songs live. So I've learned to do a lot of things that I can't do in real life. The thing is, because I look like a guy that knows how to operate computers, people always ask me computer questions. I don't know anything about that stuff. Nothing. There's a photo on my phone that I scrolled past recently, and it's somebody trying to teach me Instagram, and it literally looks like I'm 100. I'm doing this. I don't know. I don't know any of this stuff. I don't like Snapchat. I've never used. I hate it when people come through my line and put a filter on it. We look like cartoon deers. Like, and the other thing is, what I want to tell kids without the filters, you will never be this young and good looking in your whole life. You want a good record of what you look like because an avalanche is coming to a face near you. You want a baseline normal because at some point you're going to look in the mirror and be like, wow, I used to look like a cartoon. No, you didn't, but you were still young and gorgeous. Stop with the filters. They make me crazy. As a matter of fact, I've given money back to young girls. They were like 14 who refused to take a photo without a filter. It's bad for you because people also start to think they look like that. No one looks like that. No one should look like that. Anyway, that's my little soapbox. I'm sticking to it. What's your name and your guess?
Johnny, 42.
Okay. So what time? How much time do we have here? Oh, so we have 10 more minutes. So we have like 3, 4 more questions.
In the movie The Core, you said you wanted servers, computers, and Hot Pockets. Do you actually like Hot Pockets?
I hate Hot Pockets to death. So anytime you eat something on camera, you can never eat it again. French toast and Road Trip, I'd eat like 100 pieces of it. I can't even walk past it on a buffet. And the thing is, Hot Pockets, like I love junk food, like I love it. And can't touch them. Can't touch them. I ate so many of them. And also in the Core, there was product placement for Hot Pockets and product placement for Pepsi. And as a Southerner, I hate Pepsi. Like it's Coke all the way, where I'm from. And so, but what they had to do for 12 hours, we had 3 scenes that featured a Pepsi can. And so there's a Pepsi guy just off camera, and they'd do this, "Hey rat," and I had to do this, huh? And we'd do it over and over and over again. And if there's not enough glisten on the can, they'd come in. It's just food on camera is a nightmare. So I can't eat Hot Pockets. I can't eat French toast, and also sadly I can't eat peanut butter and banana sandwiches because when I did the new guy, I had to eat a sandwich in a scene, and they're like, "What sandwich is it easy for you to eat?" And I grew up with peanut butter and banana, and I was like, "That I can eat those. I can't touch them anymore. Like the texture of it makes me go." The only thing that I've eaten on camera that I can still eat is that whenever I did Supernatural, they went out to a restaurant called Cactus Club, and they had this sweet chili chicken, and they would always order it for me, and I can still eat it. And I'm thinking about it right now. I would love to be eating it. But that's a very good question. Hot Pockets? No way. But I'll eat anything, but not that. What's your name and your guess?
Karis and 115.
Okay, I think we have time for 2 more questions.
Hey DJ, we're here, DJ. So we met earlier, and you mentioned that like you did the new guy and you made it as your own film and everything. Do you possibly see? It's a 2-part question. Do you think he's ever going to make a sequel? And is Jim Jeffrey as big as snobby as he was when you worked with him?
So there will never be a sequel to the new guy because it would be called the old guy, and I haven't done that therapy yet. So no, they'll never. The thing is, I like to leave fond memories as fond memories, and then have new adventures. And Jim Jeffries is one of my best friends, and they sent me some clips of his comedy, and I turned the show down based on it because I was like, I have to be naked in front of this guy in the pilot. I'll never be naked in front of this guy. He's mean, very mean. And then I met him. I went to a podcast taping, and he had a homeless guy living on his couch that he met like at a Starbucks like a week before. He was selling merchandise for him at shows. Like he's wonderful, and he would hate for people to know that, but he's such a great guy. All comedians are just sad clowns and kind of broken. And before he goes on the road, sometimes I'll go out with him to comedy clubs, and he'll just show up, and the audience goes nuts, and he'll try out new material. He's vulnerable and sweet and messed up and mean and all these great qualities, and he's, like I said, he's one of my best friends, and I love him very much. But would I be naked in front of him again? Probably not. So what's your name and your guess?
I am Stefan, and since it's your first time here, number 1.
Okay, and we have time for one more question.
So, what is the most embarrassing thing you've ever done for a production? Movie, show?
Oh wow, there's
whatever.
so many things. My very first day on my very first movie, I had to answer the door in tidy whities, and then have a sex scene later that afternoon. I've done so many things that I'm numb. Stunts that have gone wrong that I shouldn't have been able to do. In Fargo, they made me jump off the side of a bus and I started panicking. And so the thing is, we were wearing these big masks. I was wearing a pig mask. And we flipped a prison bus and we had to climb up in the inside, but my head was too big to get through and I went first. So they were like, the director was like, Dalding, take the mask off before you get to the hatch. And so I did it. Then they realized that the other actors had their mask on so their stunt doubles could jump off the side of this flipped prison bus and I couldn't. And it was like a 12-foot jump. It was a massive thing. We were on a hill. And then I was like, they're gonna make me do this stunt. And whenever anybody in the entertainment business starts a sentence with darling, you're not gonna like what's coming out next, right? And so they're like, they put us, we had to go to the warming tent. This was this place, it was like 17 degrees out there. And this PA came up to me and was like, Mr. Baker would like to talk to you. And I was like, he's gonna make me do this stunt. He's gonna try to make me do this stunt. And I went over to him like this, darling. And I was like, oh no, I know what's coming next. So I panicked and I did this. I feel like if I was wearing gloves to jump off the side of the thing. It was some graspy thing. So you see me, I'm up there, I'm not wearing gloves, I'm wearing gloves, I'm not wearing gloves. But I made the jump. And I don't remember what you asked, but apparently that was on my mind. What did you ask? Because I want to answer that question.
The most embarrassing thing you've ever done.
A lot of things. Let's see. Probably, well, I think I've lost all kind of worry about my body because everybody's seen sort of everything at this point. Like when TMZ first started, I was drunk at a bar thinking, and I was peeing behind a dumpster and waving at some people, and so drunk, TMZ was right there. You see it? And here's the thing, I was like, who cares? I really don't get embarrassed in that way. It's more like a tongue twister or if I falter a bunch of times. I really, really hate not looking professional. So it's usually that kind of stuff. But now I kind of I was asked to wear a diaper in something, that was an easy pass. If it's too embarrassing, I don't have to do it. So I tend to stay away from that stuff. Would I now eat French toast that's been down somebody's pants? Maybe. But I sort of don't have to do those things anymore. And also I'm getting to an age where it's weird because if you stay around long enough, people start respecting you. And so they stop asking you to do really embarrassing crap. But if the money's right, my fantasy in life right now at this point in my career is I once got a fan letter from Japan that just said this, I want you die. And I was like, this person hates me so much, they got a first-class international stamp. Probably had to translate that. Wrote it on a piece of paper and sent it to my management company, so they had to find out where I was. Now my fantasy at this point, and I kept it, is that there will be a mean old man who has so much money and hates my face so much that he will pay me $10 million to stop acting. That's become my fantasy. That's what I want. And then I will never have to do anything embarrassing ever again. What's your name and your guess?
Grace and 63.
Okay, so y'all, thank you for spending this time with me. I'm really excited to be here. I try to choose a regional convention, a smaller one every year, and I chose y'all this year. I want more people to keep coming. I want this to keep growing. I think this is a cool thing for the town, and everybody in Meadow has been amazing. And come up and say hello, and we're gonna have a good rest of the weekend. So the answer was 22. And so, y'all really didn't do well at this. So, the person who was closest to it, I think is, we have Jake at 4. Yeah, Jake I think 4 won it. Yeah, Jake, come up and get a crappy prize. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys for coming out. DJ will be back at his booth shortly. Please come and talk with him and get an autograph or a photo. Stay in here if you want to hear the Women of the Power Rangers. They'll be in here at 3.
Bye, guys. Thank you.